A movie with the concept of time.
Miss Fowl. This one is different.
Tenet is the latest Christopher Nolan mind-bending thriller. It stars John David Washington, Robert Pattinson as two international spies, and Elizabeth Debicki as the wife of an arms dealer. In its most simplified form, Tenet is about the protagonist, yes, that's his name, and the Batman as they go on a large, time-twisting journey to stop the end of the world. There's some time reverse stuff, there's some massive stunts that are just amazing. Being in Canada, I was lucky to be able to see this movie before a lot of people. It came out on the 26th. I always saw it the first day. Going into a Christopher Nolan movie, being a huge fan of basically all of his other movies, I was pretty excited. So, does Tenet live up to the bar that Nolan has set for himself? Technically speaking, yes, it does, and really, really well. But at the same time, not quite. So before I dive further into this review, I'm going to pull back. This review is not going to be a normal review. What I'm going to try to do with this review is take a look at the movie from a different lens. Movies are incredibly difficult to make, and it's super easy to simply point out their mistakes and problems. But these people are better movie makers than I am and ever will be. So as somebody looking to make movies themselves, trying to learn to make better ones, what better way to learn than from the best? So that's what I will do here. So what can we learn from Tenet in a filmmaking perspective? Let's start off with the goodness. Tenet is absolutely insane. The stunts, the scale, and all the visuals, it's all so gorgeous to look at, and it all feels so real. And the reason for this is simple, because most of it is. Nolan is famous for always wanting to do as much effects in camera as physically possible, as opposed to relying on CGI like a lot of other films nowadays do.
Chris is really great in that he wants it for real. He wants it in camera. He doesn't want to do CG.
Because no matter how advanced the CGI is, it's not real. Because it's a bit of a chain reaction when you fake something. Because firstly, the thing, whatever it is not real. This will affect the actors because they are being forced to pretend that they are seeing something that they actually aren't seeing. So as an audience, not only are we watching something that's not real, we are also watching somebody react to something that's not real. So what Christopher Nolan does so well is that with his massive budgets, which he's been able to get from studios over the years by proving himself, obviously, he's able to do most of these stunts for real. Popular examples of these are the new plane crash in Tenet.
It feels very, very real, essentially because it is real.
Obviously, not everybody will get the same budget that Chris Nolan has gotten for Tenet. So we can appreciate that doing the stunts for real creates this grounded feeling that doing something in CGI will never quite achieve. So keeping that in mind and trying to do as much in camera as possible will always be better than simply being, okay, we'll do this later because we know we can. Another big thing in Tenet that I want to touch upon is its writing. Christopher Nolan in this movie seems to be so focused on his concept that he came up with. The main concept of this movie is, again, time, which Nolan seems to be obsessed with throughout his movies. He has this idea, which he seems to get ideas and then run with these ideas, and he seems to create characters that serve his concept. Whereas a lot of other films and writers will create characters and then create a situation or a plot that will serve the growth of this character and the study of this character. Nolan seems to be more focused on his plot and his concept rather than focusing on the growth of the character. And that is a little bit of a, I don't want to say problem in Tenet because the movie is amazing still. It's a great movie. I highly recommend going to see it. But it is missing a little bit of a human element that a lot of his other films have. They're kind of comparable, but Inception has a much more deeper human story involved in it. It's kind of more of a human story that is supported by this fantastical dream idea, while Tenet is more like these characters have filled in the blanks of this story template that he has. Most of these characters, we don't even know who they are. We don't even know what they want. For example, the main character, and we don't ever really learn why he's doing what he's doing. There's no real motive. The only character that has a little bit of kind of depth would be the wife character. She's got this kind of side plot, and so her character kind of gets practically the only development of any of the characters, because John David Washington's character and Robert Pattinson's characters are practically just people who are doing their job because they are doing their job. They don't really have a personal connection to what they're doing, and because of this, Tenet kind of feels a little bit lost. Like we can never really connect. Another kind of issue, I think, from this movie that could have been better if I'm have the audacity to say that about somebody making movies with the $200 million budget, but is the villain. He is basically a generic superhero Bond villain. He wants to destroy the world because why not? And usually Nolan does villains pretty well. Like, for example, the very popular Joker character, that's an extremely well-written character versus, I don't even know his name in this movie, he's an arms dealer. He just seems so flat and just evil for the sake of being evil. And something I noticed while doing research on this movie is that Christopher Nolan's brother actually doesn't have a writing credit on this movie. So I'm wondering maybe Christopher Nolan and his brother work best as a pair, because it kind of seems like Nolan is interested in these crazy concepts while his brother is maybe interested in the character stories. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out kind of where the mentality behind the writing of this movie was, because I know Christopher Nolan has done great character stories in the past, so I'm kind of trying to figure out where it was lost in Tenet. This movie has a lot of weird sound mixing. It's like in a lot of scenes, and at first I thought this was like a sound mixing issue from the theater company. In a lot of scenes, the dialogue is hard to hear because the music is so loud. I don't really know why they did that, but the music is louder than the dialogue, so a lot of times you miss what somebody says, and what someone says is important to understanding the next 10 minutes of plot, because you don't know what they're doing or why, because you missed this little line of dialogue. Speaking of the music, I do typically like this composer, what he's done with The Mandalorian especially. I actually didn't really love the music in Tenet. Obviously, I'm no musician. I can't really speak about this, but it just kind of sometimes was a little bit distracting. A lot of times what I like music that does in movies is that it kind of complements the scene, and a lot of times scenes can work without music. And the thing with Tenet that bugs me is that a lot of these scenes would work without music, but the music is always so loud and blaring. I don't know if it was necessary. It opens so fast. You're always one step behind. You're always trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And this kind of happens 30-40 minutes. I don't know if this was on purpose, but the pacing and editing of it all just seems a little bit, I don't really know what it was, but later on it kind of picks up and you kind of start putting the pieces together, and then you're like, oh, okay. But before that, and even a little bit after that, it is a little bit, I don't know what's happening. I don't know why they're doing it. And one thing I thought Christopher Nolan was going to do, like he does in a lot of movies, was at the end kind of tie everything together in a nice knot with all these character arcs and stuff. But at the end, I thought we were going to get a big kind of reveal that this was all one massive character study for the main character of the protagonist, but it doesn't do that, and I was a little bit disappointed that it didn't. If you're going to Tenet to look for a nice, relaxing, lean back, eat some popcorn, summer blockbuster, that's not what you're getting. In order to enjoy Tenet, you need to be lean forward, laser focused on what is happening. You need to listen, and you need to pay attention, because I knew that going in, because I was expecting it, but even knowing it, I was a little bit lost. So I need to get a few more viewings in, but as of my first viewing, I'm going to give Tenet a 3.5 out of 5, because this movie was really well crafted. Like, the filmmaking and the shots, direction and cinematography was really, really good. It just seemed a little bit too convoluted, and I don't want to say messy, but it kind of felt like that, and it just seemed a little bit subpar of what Nolan has established himself to be able to make. So that's my review for the 2020 movie Tenet. If you've seen it, let me know what you think in the comments. Let's have a discussion about it, and curious to hear what you guys think about it. Maybe you guys loved it, maybe you guys didn't love it. I think this movie will be pretty mixed across the board, and hopefully the main thing is that you learned something while listening to this. Hopefully you've got out of this video with a little bit of knowledge about why you might have liked this movie or why you might not have liked this movie. And that's kind of the main goal of this video. And if that accomplished that, then I'm very happy, and I hope to do more of these in the future. Thank you for watching.